Hello, thanks Alex, and hello everyone. So what I'd like to do today is share the results of a survey we recently carried out among the construction industry supply chain, including contractors, consultants, and equipment manufacturers regarding their attitudes to construction technology. The aim here is to give some of the top line results of the survey ahead of a white paper we'll be publishing in the next few weeks. So we started looking at construction technology as a discrete element of the industry around 5 years ago, and the content immediately generated positive feedback from our audience. Since then, we've seen a huge growth in new tech startups, many of which are being acquired by construction businesses, as well as traditional tech firms who are moving into the construction arena. Tech's role in sustainability is also gaining momentum, and we found it's increasingly highlighted in the information we receive from technology companies, making the link between productivity gains and reductions in carbon emissions. This is something we believe will become a priority for a growing number of construction businesses in the future. In short, our anecdotal evidence points to accelerating growth in the adoption of technology in the industry moving forward. And I think the results of this survey go some way to confirming this. So, we generated the list from our construction technology newsletter database. This list began with relevant names from Construction Europe and International Construction, but has evolved from there, and as you can see on this slide, is now becoming much more focused. When we established the construction technology newsletter, we didn't want to just replicate our current newsletter database. So we began a project to grow a new database from scratch using only tech roles from within construction businesses. That database has rapidly grown to over 7,000, capturing titles that include CTO, CIO, BIM, digital transformation, digital construction, etc. I think this is an interesting development. And what we're now seeing is a wide range of potential stakeholders in the acquisition of technology products for construction. So that's just a snapshot of how we're approaching tech and why we think the results of this survey are credible and interesting. Okay, so you can see here that software was the #1 tech item on the shopping list of our survey respondents. Obviously, application software is going to be at the more affordable end of the scale in terms of tech products. It's always going to be easier to sell the idea of buying some software to the board as opposed to machine control technology, which is to be integrated into your dozers, for example, with GPS receivers, etc. Beyond that, it makes good sense as a first step into digitalization, as it offers a really strong return on investment. As an example, a director at a leading engineering company told me recently that a software platform that his company is using is cutting costs by 11% and build time by 17% on average. When you look at the global statistics for construction and see that productivity has only increased by around 1% over the past 20 years, the case for a software investment like this seems pretty clear. Machine control, next on the shopping list. Now, this is proven technology with well-reported benefits, but it's interesting to note that according to one leading global construction tech firm, the adoption rate of machine control on excavators in Europe currently stands at only 10%. Now, I should say, when I presented these results recently, that figure was contested by another tech giant who may be listening, but I put it out there to show that there's a long way to go in terms of the adoption of machine control. What we haven't shown in these slides is a strong interest we received from survey respondents in reading case studies and project reports that illustrate how technologies are making a difference in real projects. And I think this reflects a certain amount of wait and see in the industry's attitude towards digital technology that could potentially be holding back adoption. So here, machine control again is top of mind for our survey respondents, along with alternative power. Machine control, possibly due to the growing skills shortage. It's reported, for example, that over 40% of the construction workforce will reach retirement age by 2031. That's a lot of experienced operators lost to the industry and a real headache for project managers, especially those working on really big projects who will only hit their delivery targets if they have a stable and reliable workforce. Machine control has the potential to plug this skills gap to some extent, but it's interesting, given my earlier comments about the currently low take-up of this technology, that interest isn't necessarily translating into purchases. Whether or not that's down to the initial cost is certainly up for debate. I should say at this point that a lot of respondents were interested in more than one area of tech, and they generally had the option to tick as many boxes as were relevant. But these numbers for machine control and alternative power are pretty significant, along with data handling and robotics, with, as you can see, more than 40% of respondents declaring an interest in these technology products. On alternative power, it's fair to say that, be it in the construction industry or automotive, this is a huge talking point at the moment. From a construction perspective, with low emission zones rolling out in many major cities, anyone looking to win projects in heavily built up areas will be wondering whether the time is right to jump into electric machines or potentially wait to see what happens with alternative power, including hydrogen. This is an area where return on investment and total cost of ownership are currently much harder to discern. So it's not surprising that survey respondents are looking for more information on this subject before taking the plunge into what are big ticket items. So looking at these charts, we can see a genuine shift from buyers, a shift from it would be nice to have this technology to we must have this technology. The pandemic has undoubtedly accelerated the adoption of tech. While construction was not hit as hard as some other industries, there were nevertheless a large number of construction firms having no choice but to send people home and learn how to work remotely. As we see on the right, almost 80% of respondents said their companies are going to buy tech, and that means this year. When I was looking into this, I saw a UK-based survey which found that 66% of construction companies polled adopted some new technology during lockdown. An impressive number, but what's possibly even more impressive is that 94% of those who did purchase tech reported operational improvements as a consequence of that purchase. Okay, so one of the things that will always hold traditional construction firms back from digitalizing their businesses is the fear of the unknown. There's no point buying tech if no one within the business has the technical know-how to either operate it or analyze the results. This is why contact firms are channeling so much resource into their technical support and customer training programs, and even sending people out to work with customers for relatively long periods of time. It's all part of the investment. And the upshot of this is that whether it be drone operators, data analysts, project management software technicians, or digital twin experts, these figures show that contractors are now seeing that they need to recruit technology specialists to grow their businesses. Okay, so I think tech companies could make a strong case for their products aiding every one of these challenges. Productivity, though, the ever-present problem in construction, was bound to be at the top or near the top. Risk and safety tech also rank high, and that's understandable, not only because unsafe working conditions are not good for business, but also because the technology is easily understood and tends not to be prohibitively expensive. Biometric wearables, for example, were used extensively as COVID kicked in, tracking people on site, ensuring social distancing, measuring worker temperatures as they arrived on site, etc. And employers who invested in this tech during COVID have also said it's useful in checking for signs of fatigue, and some have invested in self-alert buttons which indicate the need for support. The sense we have is that health and safety tech like this can not only help with reducing risk and improving productivity, but can also make staff feel more valued, which can aid the retention of skills at a time when that's particularly important. So, with all this in mind, what is holding contractors back from investing? Of course, it's the price, which, going back to one of the earlier slides, is probably why software is the standout winner in terms of tech that's currently being purchased. Lack of knowledge is an issue that is being addressed by tech companies. Whether or not they're doing a great job of it is up for debate, but this will be key in shifting companies into the digital transformation. And that's not just about gaining an understanding of the technology, but also about understanding the potential return on investment. The third response here, I think, will be of genuine concern to tech firms. Terms like common data environment, which we heard earlier, single source of truth, are being used more and more in the industry, but not necessarily as something that can be expected, more something tech specialists are working towards, and that will worry potential buyers of technology. Almost half of those who responded to our survey will need to be convinced that the data they receive from their construction equipment can be synchronized, will be of the same quality, and will be delivered with the same frequency if it's genuinely to make a difference to productivity. This is certainly true when, for example, businesses are using mixed fleets on projects with onboard telematics on machines that potentially come from different manufacturers. So, could this be a springboard year for tech? I think our survey response, as well as the information we're receiving daily, shows that COVID has changed everything and undoubtedly accelerated the digitalization of the industry. As we continue with COVID recovery, as well as working towards net zero, many contractors will feel an investment in technology now could help them win roles on future projects. And the increasing need to reduce carbon will also push more traditional builders to adopt tech as connections between improved efficiency and reduced emissions are made. On the flip side, a big question remains over education, with contractors wondering whether, as well as buying the technology, they will also need to employ experts or train staff. There are also concerns about data, how it's collected, stored, and used. And of course, the ever-present questions of price and return on investment. Okay, so that's just an overview of the survey we conducted at the end of 2021. And as I said, the results are currently being analysed and will become the subject of a white paper in the coming weeks. So do look out for it on Construction Europe and international construction websites. Thank you for listening, and it's back to you, Alex.